Hello Channel NITT viewers, I am DS. Welcome to another episode on Channel NITT. And if you are new to our channel, do watch our other videos as well. And if you do like what you see, do consider subscribing. So this episode is a follow-up of our previous episode on memory, and our focus today is the memorization of names. Have you been to a networking session, a party, or an event where you have to meet new people and they introduce themselves to you, and you started having a conversation, and after a moment, you ask yourself, oh dear, what is his name? The name, you have forgotten. Actually, don't be too harsh on yourself, it's very common. In our previous episode, we talked about 4 memory effects that describe how our memory works. So let's apply these 4 effects on the memory of names, particularly the names of the people that you just got to know. Let's talk about the self-referencing effect first. The self-referencing effect is the tendency for you to remember things that are relevant for yourself. So, for example, if the lady comes and introduces herself as Linda, and Linda is the name of your wife, or Linda is the name of your sister, then naturally you will remember. You say, oh, it's the name of my wife. Correct now. So that is how the self-referencing effect may work. So you may remember person A's name, not person B's name, because of the self-referencing effect. Person A shares the same name as your brother, but person B is just a name that you have not encountered before. You might also remember a name better because of the attention effect. The attention effect is the tendency for you to remember what you pay attention to. So some names are really attention grabbing. Some people, especially celebrities, have very unusual English names. So we have fish, we have alien, we have mountain. So when somebody introduces himself or herself with such names, you will tend to remember because they are attention grabbing. And also, sometimes even names like this can be attention grabbing.
Fuck me.
You kiss your mother with that mouth?
Fuck me. Like this.
Third, let's come to the frequency effect. The frequency effect is the tendency for us to remember things that we encounter very often. So let's say this person comes to you and say that, hi, my name is Alex. Just happens that you already know 7 other Alexes already. So you will definitely remember this Alex, because Alex is a common name in your dictionary, in your phone contacts. Now finally, we've come to the last effect, which is the serial position effect. The serial position effect is a tendency for us to remember what happens in front and what happens at the back of a list. So it also applies to names. So let's say you get to meet this new lady at a party, and her name is Laura. So she introduces herself as Laura, and you talk to her for 10 minutes. After a while, you just remember that her name starts with L and ends with A, but cannot remember what exactly it is. Is it Linda? Is it Lara? Or Laura? This is the serial position effect. But the serial position effect also acts in another way. We tend to remember names that are shorter as compared to names that are longer. And I'm not talking about word length, I'm talking about the number of syllables that it has. To give you an example, consider the name Charles. So Charles is a 1-syllable name that has 7 letters in it. The name Donovan also has 7 letters to it, but it's a 3-syllable word. So it is more likely that we tend to remember the name Charles as compared to Donovan, because Charles has only got 1 syllable and it takes up less cognitive space in our brain to remember. So when we are repeating after ourselves, Charles, 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 it gets rehearsed more often than the name Donovan. So here I'm showing you a very short list of names ranging from 1 syllable to 4 syllabuses for both males and females. In general, it is harder for anyone to remember names that are longer in terms of the number of syllabuses, which is why many people with names that have longer syllabuses tend to want to shorten it. Let's say if you are Valentino, you are likely to tell your friend to just call you Tino. This will also reduce the effort required by others to call out your name. In general, most people's names, including my name and probably your name, are not going to be easily remembered when we meet a new person who gets to know us, because we are unlikely to share the same name as the other person's brother or sister, and our names are usually not attention grabbing. So later down the video, I am going to describe to you some strategies you can use to help other people remember your name if they have met you for the first time. But meanwhile, let's talk about a situation where it is really very hard to remember a person's name. We tend not to remember people's names if they belong to another culture. So for example, let's say a Russian comes up to you and say that my name is that's not Russian, that's Italian, is it? Okay, you probably will have what? And they are not helping you by telling you, okay, you can also call me Tom, for example. So they just introduce their name and they're very proud of their name and heritage. So probably you will never want to talk to this person again because you will not know what to call him by. In other cultures nearer to Singapore, so even Thai names, Vietnamese names can be very hard to pronounce. Thai names in particular are very, very long. Vietnamese names may be very hard to pronounce. So how do you pronounce V-U-Y? Is it Vui? And Vietnamese names may be very hard to pronounce because we tend not to see certain combinations of letters placed together, as you can commonly see in Vietnamese names, like this type. So we have a lot of international students from all over Asia coming to Singapore to study, and I believe that most of these students understand that it is a chore to tell the Singaporean teacher or their friends what their name actually is. So they usually have already prepared their English name. Good for them. So it really makes our task of remembering their name easier. Instead of saying I am Pham Thi Bao Na, something like that, you just say, hi, my name is Jenny. In a similar fashion that we are usually unable to remember names that we are unfamiliar with, as in names that do not belong to our culture, it is very highly likely that people not from our culture will also find it very difficult to remember our names, especially when we only use our maiden or dialect names. So even the Westerner may have problems trying to remember our dialect name or our maiden name. Hi, I am Feng Tian Wei. You are Feng. No, Feng, 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 Feng. So you try your best to tell the Westerner that Feng is not pronounced as Feng, and you corrected him, and you move on to the next Westerner. He says Feng, and you realize that just give up. Just let them call you whatever that they want. Hi, I'm Wang Yuegu. Wang. So Chinese, if you are not prepared to have an English name, then just accept whatever they have to call you. If you are not rigid about your name and flexible about it, then these are 4 strategies that you can use when introducing yourself to others for the first time, so that they are likely to remember you better. The first strategy is give them a name card lor. So in a business meeting, you are likely to exchange name cards. So if you already have a name card, it solves a lot of problems. So after having given the name card, the person wants to remember what your name is, the person can refer to the name card and immediately get your name again. He does not have to go through the embarrassment of having to ask you for your name again. The second strategy is to avoid using your full name. Many people know that they could abbreviate their name. So, especially ladies nowadays, very cool about it. My name is Samantha, but you can call me Sam. Right? Remember, the shorter your name is, the easier it is for anyone to remember. And if there are parts of your name that are very hard to pronounce, then you might consider trying to twist it a little bit. The third strategy is tell a story. So when introducing yourself, just tell a story about your name. So for example, hi, my name is Lin Tan. A lot of people just call me Lin Tan. This will definitely leave a stronger impression and people will tend to remember your name if you tell a story to it. The last strategy that you can consider is to initialize. So for example, if you are Junjie, just call yourself JJ. It will be much easier to remember and initialize it. So after a person gets to know you better, you may then tell him that you can call me by my Hanyu pinyin name or my English name or my dialect name. I hope you found this episode entertaining and interesting. So we will be producing many more of such episodes. And if you have not subscribed, do consider subscribing to us so that we can continue to add value to you and give you entertainment in the field of psychology. So I'm going to sign off now and I'll see you again in my next episode. Goodbye!